And there's that worry of Harry Kane being injured as well for the USA game. Obviously, we're going to talk about the USA game Friday night. Literally, going to be prime time entertainment watching the USA versus England. What's your first thoughts on the England game, Salim, and how well England did against Iran?
I mean, first thing I wanted to just go back to like you were saying players that stood out for me.
Mm.
I don't want to switch in back and forth, but the World Cup's always a time where like certain players like you forget about them. They just come out of the blue. Like Enner Valencia the other day, you know what I mean? Like somebody that he was at West Ham, and everyone's pretty much like forgotten about him since, and he's come out of the blue. Another sort of honourable mention, couple of mentions I've got from the World Cup so far is the Japan fans actually. They've been cleaning up, the stadiums even when it was even their mess, and it
So
was even there.
respectful.
Yeah, that was something that really stood out to me, and I thought that was a great gesture from the fans. I mean, that's just how they are, and it's really nice of them that. But yeah, back to England, it was a good performance. I feel like the changes should have just been made, once the game was sort of it looked like it was wrapped up,
Yeah.
like by taking like Kane and them off, especially it being just the first game. I'm looking forward to the game against the States. I remember the game with Rob Green, letting the ball slip. Um,
2010 Saturday night, crazy. I think that was the second day of the tournament as well, which is insane. And you're looking at it thinking, could it be another mishap? I don't think Jordan Pickford will have another mishap. Fingers crossed he doesn't. But I'm looking forward to seeing how this USA side do against us. George Weah, George Weah's son, Timothy Weah, ended up scoring a fantastic, nice little finish against Wales as well. Pulisic, as we know, Gio Reyna coming back into the side. Maybe we'll have to see Yunus Musa again, former England youth player playing for the USA.
some of
Goes to
you outed Yunus Musa.
Yeah, literally. I was someone who watched him since when he was at Valencia, and I thought he'd be a really good player to watch in the future. He chose the USA, so it goes to show how well he's done, and fair play to Yunus Musa. But how would you set up this England side if Harry Kane is injured, Salim? Would you go for Callum Wilson, or would you go for Marcus Rashford as a number 9, or even playing a false 9, maybe Phil Foden in the false 9 position? How would you set it up?
I wouldn't play a false nine.
Mm,
I'd
me
take
neither.
Mason. I'd take Mason Mount of the team firstly. Um,
Not good enough for you.
no, I don't know. I just feel like I can't see what like he brings at the moment.
Mm.
Like I know he's a quality player and stuff, but I just don't see what extra he brings to that team. I rather like a Foden or even a Grealish play instead. Um, and yeah, in terms of for me, I'm not too fussed whether it's Rashford or Wilson. I mean, do we have any other strikers there, or is it just them
It's just those two.
those two? See, I don't know. It would be nice if we had somebody like a Tammy, obviously, but there's no point talking about players that aren't there.
It would have been suitable as well. Good plan B effort as well, but clearly Southgate gone for just like a nice finisher, a good classic number 9 in Callum Wilson, and a utility striker in Marcus Rashford who can play all across the front three. But will it suit England's game? I'm not really sure because they feed it into Harry Kane, who likes to drop deep nowadays. The last 2 tournaments we've seen Harry Kane dropping deeper into like a false 9 position, which has worked
So
really
maybe
well for him.
right then, maybe the option is to play like Grealish or like someone like that as the false nine, and then they could try and link play up. I'm not sure. That even Sterling can do it too. We've got players that can play
Yeah.
quite flexibly. But yeah, no, I'm not. I feel like Kane. I think he should be okay. It was quite precautionary
Mm.
in that sense. But that's the thing when you've got like one so world class top striker, it's hard. Like as in like we don't even have that second striker. But normally when you do it, it does become difficult because then do you accommodate to play two? It's like how we've got it at Villa. Not that they're both world class strikers, but with having Ings and Watkins, do you like shoehorn them in? Do you change your formation? Because everyone pretty much just plays with like one striker now. Primarily, obviously, a lot of teams do still play with two, but most of the teams play with one. But no, I'm looking forward to the game. Again, like still early days, so there's not much like I wouldn't say there's like that much pressure, especially like winning that first game. That Iran game that could easily have just been the Argentina Saudi Arabia game.
It could have been
That
our banana skin. It literally could have been.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like any game can be like that. It's like the Argentina game. You look at the XG, Argentina, killed it. Like if I know there was some error with VAR and stuff in that game too, but if you lose that Iran game at the start, because I feel like the atmosphere was quite apprehensive before the game. There's couple of nerves and people weren't too convinced. Are we going to play 5 at the back? Are we going to play 4 at the back? A lot of question marks. I'm happy. I can praise Southgate for once that he made the right option playing with 4. That's something that I did want him. Again, I'm not fully convinced with Maguire. I was happy with Stones. I was happy with Shaw. Shaw was all right as well. He's just, in terms of Maguire, my only worry is if we come up against better opposition,
quicker strikers in Timothy Weah, Pulisic.
Even Taremi plays for Porto. He scored a really good goal. He just peeled off Maguire. But in my head, I'm thinking, what if that's Mbappe? What if that's Giroud? Do you know what I mean? What if that's Ferran Torres? What if that's literally anyone else? At one of these top countries, and then you start worrying because I don't know if Maguire's good enough. Like he's okay at a level. He's a good sort of, I'd say, mid-table Premier League defender. But when we're playing against the sort of bigger nations with better strikers, if he's imagine I don't think we're going to get Portugal. I don't know how the groups run, but you say Cristiano versus Maguire. I can't see him coping.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy to see how Harry Maguire continues in this tournament as well, because like I previously said, I wanted Ben White to start the first game of the tournament as well. Maguire was taken off with a precautionary injury as well, so he may not even be starting against the USA. So it's going to be all fun and games until we see who starts. But personally, for me, if Harry Kane is out, I personally would like to see Marcus Rashford start. I think it's someone who can work between the lines as well. He can work across the front three. And I think a front three of Sterling, Saka and Rashford would scare any opposition in world football with the attack that they've got as well. And the USA, as we saw against Wales, they weren't playing that defensive. They were literally trying to play out proper football, which was nice to see. And I never really expected it from the USA, but that's just because I didn't really know and understand how USA were going into this tournament, especially against Wales, who were playing with a back 5. So hopefully we'll get a win against the USA, and hopefully we'll be able to get a W and qualify for the next round and against the rest of the players as well. And I personally think this 5-sub rule benefits a lot of the bigger teams as well. The fact that we can bring on the likes of Grealish, Foden, Rashford, for the sake of it, is fantastic, and rest some of our top players. I think it's fantastic to really see and really to enjoy rotating the squads around as well, which will be great.
100%. I mean, just a quick one for me, Jude Bellingham. The way that he linked midfield and attack the other day was unbelievable. That performance he put in. A lot of people saying like his favorite player is Gerrard, and you could see he's definitely got something there. You can see he's going to be £100 million midfielder. I mean, we could even play him further forward, more as a 10. I'm not sure how often he has played in that role because I see him more as an 8. But I mean, if we could get like Rice and then have another midfielder in there, we could potentially put him a bit more forward, and give him a bit more sort of license up there to roam. But if not, we've got people like Maddison that could also come in. I know there's the injury worries there, but even Grealish, he's somebody else that we could bring in. But yeah, I'd like to see just to change something, in terms of Mount. I know maybe I could be wrong. Maybe we play him and he has a really good game, but I just felt he was the one that he could have just done a bit more in that game for me. But we won the game, and I don't know. I shouldn't even have to be going on about it, really.
Yeah, he definitely had more to offer, Mason Mount, and I don't think he's had the best of starts to the season. So we're gonna have to wait and see if he can actually improve his game in a bigger test against the USA, against a much stronger midfield as well. But yeah, I'm expecting a good game from England, especially against the USA, and hopefully we'll have 6 points out of 2 games, which would be great to really understand how England can progress in this next round of the tournament as well.